All right, so let's work on some flowers. We're going to be sculpting flowers out of modeling clay. And then after our project is done, we're going to apply a substance all over the project to kind of harden it up a little bit. Modeling clay never actually dries out. So if I were to leave this clay sitting on the table for months or even a couple years, I could come back and it would still be able to be bent and molded. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our little cardboard square, and if you just press modeling clay onto here, it pops right off. So basically we've got to make ourselves a surface that our modeling clay flowers can stick to. So we're going to be using these pieces over here for our flowers. So I've got a background color here, and I'm just going to use a neutral background color. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and I'm going to try to spread this clay out as much as I possibly can and cover this cardboard square. So I don't want a big lump of clay like this. This clay can go a lot farther. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push it out as far as I can get it to go. And you can see that it covers a lot more area than you might think at first. So I'm just going to keep on pulling it out, and I've got a lot of area covered there. And you see how it's got a little hole there? I could just kind of push that back if I spread it out too far. But basically, you're going to need to cover the surface of your cardboard with your clay. All right, so now I can sit this to the side. So this is pretty much my surface that I'm going to attach everything else to. All right, so here I have the pieces that I need for my flower, for my flowers. So I can make whatever kind of flower-like composition that I want on my gray piece here. And then these pieces, obviously I'm going to need some green for some leaves. And then these pieces I'm actually going to turn into flower petals. And then this I could use for the middle, I could use for a small flower. So I'm just gonna design this whole thing here. Now you could do one large multicolored flower. You could take these and make different colors of petals, use this for the center, whatever you'd like to do, but I want to show you a couple of different things that you can do. So I'm gonna make a rose. So I need to break off some pieces for my different petals. So if I just take this whole chunk and I make one petal out of it, what am I going to make the rest of the petals out of? I have to plan my design. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out a section that's going to be the center of my rose, and then I'm just going to pull apart some little sections for my petals. So I'm just planning ahead, and I'm going to need several petals. So I'm just going to pull this apart till I feel like I have enough for my petals. All right, so that should be pretty good. All right, so I'm gonna roll a little sphere. Just roll it in my hands. Okay, so of course we all know how to roll a ball by now, or a sphere, but I'm gonna make this into a cone shape. So I'm just gonna take my fingers and I'm gonna roll one end of it, okay? And it's a cone shape or a teardrop shape, okay? So this is gonna be what I attach the rest of my rose petals to. So I'm gonna roll little spheres. Okay, so now I'm just gonna press these down, and then I'm gonna pinch them in my fingers, and I wanna get these petals as thin as I can because I want them to look like actual flower petals. So I'm making them as thin as I possibly can. See the edge, it looks kind of like paper. Okay, and I'm just gonna wrap this around my little cone shape. Okay, and once modeling clay is warmed up, it's really easy to work with. It will get a little bit hard, but all you have to do is play around with it, roll it around, and it'll loosen and soften right up. All right. Okay, and you can start to see the middle of the rose is forming. And just kind of pull those pieces out a little bit. And the great thing about modeling clay is if you make the flower and you feel like, I don't think I like it, you can ball it back up and try it again. just kind of folding the petals out. This little piece of clay here had a little bit of orange on it from here, but I don't mind it. Looks unique and interesting. I'm gonna try to make these last couple of petals stick out a little bit more. And our rose is almost complete. All right, now because I have this base, this surface over here, I can just kind of try to pinch this toward the bottom and just press it down. And I can kind of take it and kind of pull the sides of this down to where it's attached more so to the gray. You won't really be able to see that underneath the rose. So now I have my rose there. All right, I can also work on some leaves. So I can take the green. All right, so when I wanna do leaf shapes, I just roll a sphere and then I like to pinch the end and press down with my other fingers on this side. And then just press this down and it attaches to the gray. Now, I've got my pencil here because I thought it might be cool to just kind of drag the pencil through, or you can even press the pencil into the clay like this to make texture, just like you see there. And then I could do that with some more of my leaves. I could also build the rest of my flowers before I do the rest of the leaves. All right, so this flower will be a little bit simpler. So I'm actually going to, I'm gonna do 2 flowers. So I'm gonna divide this yellow in half. So I'm going to press down and I'm gonna make a center, a yellow center. And I'm liking to use the pencil for texture. So I could even add some little texture here, but I'm gonna finish that after it's attached over here because I'm gonna have to press it down and I might mess up those little pieces there. All right, so I'm going to divide this. I want at least 5 petals. And I might have enough for a small flower if I save that over there. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so let me roll these into spheres. All right, so now what I'm doing is I'm taking my spheres and I'm pinching the end and making them kind of a cone shape. I'm just planning out the design there. I'm pinching this way with these fingers and I'm pulling and pinching, making pointed shape with these. Now you may have a flower design in mind that you want to do. You can get creative with this and come up with your own designs. Perfectly fine with me. I love seeing my artists create things that I have never thought of before. It's so wonderful to see that. All right, so I'm just gonna lay these on top of my gray. And then I'm just gonna press them down. And I'm not gonna worry too much about the center because my yellow is gonna go on top of that. Okay, now I'm gonna take my pencil and I'm gonna put a little texture just by pressing down. It's gonna look kind of like the petals folded up a little. It's kind of hard to get onto this one, but I can do it carefully. And then this little guy, here's what I meant by covering up the texture. When I press this down, I might cover up those pretty little dots, which they stayed pretty good. But now I'm gonna come back in and add all that stuff. Okay, so I've got some cool texture there. All right, so I feel like this looks a little uneven, so I feel like I need another leaf over here. And I'm not gonna add stems to this. I just want it to look like I'm looking down onto the leaves and the stems would be hiding underneath. All right, now I've got these two pieces here, so I'm thinking I could come up with something kind of cool for that. Let's see, I'm gonna do a little experiment. So I'm gonna put these two pieces together. Now I don't recommend mixing all of your clay pieces together, but you got a little left over at the end, you might wanna try it. All right, so I'm just gonna roll this to a ball. Then I'm just gonna roll it into a worm, see what happens. Okay, so I'm thinking I can make a fun little lollipop flower. So I'm just gonna roll this. This is something that I'm definitely making up as I go. And I'm gonna just place this right up here. I think compositions look best in groups of 3. You could do 2 flowers, you could do 1 huge flower and use all your clay for that. And we are working with the colors that we have. In some instances, you might have different colors, but these are the colors that I have here today, so this is what I've got to use, so I'm gonna make it work. All right, remember I'm pinching the ends to make my leaves. I don't like how that one's shaped, so I'm gonna redo it. And that's the cool thing about the modeling clay. You can always pinch and reshape and redo. All right, and then for over here, I'm gonna do tiny little leaves. Rolling them into that cone shape. If you don't know how to do the cone shape, it will be worth your time to try to do it. Try to figure that out. Just add some texture to the gray. You can also do this with dots. All right, and I'm feeling pretty good about my design. We'll add the clear on top, and that will kind of help our designs stay a little bit better. They'll still be a little bit soft, but they won't be as soft as they are right now since modeling clay actually never dries. All right, have fun modeling your beautiful clay flowers, friends.